Yes, good morning everybody and welcome to the United Stand. This is your latest Manchester United news as Manchester United make a bid, according to reports, for a new striker target which would cost £100 million. We'll also have Anthony Martial updates from Eric Ten Hag on what he thinks about Anthony Martial and his future at Manchester United. Also on the owner situation, there is a rush from both Sir Jim and Qatar to get this deal done so that they can focus on the summer transfer window. It's a big thing for them. We've got updates on that as well as an astounding bit of information about Bruno Fernandes, which I think is unbelievable. This guy is unbelievable. And also the ramifications of what Antonio Conte said last night about the Spurs team being full of bottlers. Is that an insight to the captain of Spurs and maybe why we might want to avoid signing Harry Kane when you've got the manager basically saying that this team ain't a winning team? Lots to get involved with, but we'll kick off with this story. We're going to be talking about MUANI. So basically, this is coming in from Christian Falk, who is a very good German journalist, very close to the Bayern Munich, very good for Bayern Munich news, but also good for Germany as well. He is saying that Manchester United are going to prepare a big offer for Randal Kulu Muani, specifically 120 million euros. That's a price Frankfurt wouldn't say no to. Last week there was a meeting with the new agents, Musu Sissoko and the sporting director, and Manchester United are preparing a big offer for him. Now, look, who is Muani, says Masu? Well, on a very basic level, you might know who he is. I believe he was the guy who was one-on-one and could have won the World Cup for France when Martinez made that save just before the penalty shootout. Plays for Eintracht Frankfurt. I think he's about 24 years of age. He's on a huge contract. His contract doesn't run out till 2027. I think he's around 6 foot, 6'2", something like that. Quick, skillful, good finisher. I don't think he's worth £100 million, and I do not think that he is a player that Manchester United will bid £100 million for, to be honest with you. Whether we could be in for him or not, well, look, I think it's certain. You've got to have other options. Yeah, you've got to have other options, and Rodney says 40 million max. He's a really good player. He's a really good striker. And he used to be on the wing. And what I would describe Muani is a player that, and I don't watch Bundesliga, so I can't say that I watch him week in, week out, because I don't. But I am aware of him because I know he's a player that probably will end up in the Premier League, if we're honest. And you know, I've seen bits of him, and what I think about Muani is, I think in many ways he would be good for Manchester United because he you know, he's a former winger playing up front. He's got electric speed, he's got dribbling, he's got movement, he's got finishing. So if you want a number 9 that's going to play on the last line, thanks for the gifted membership, Mikhail Roach, hope you're doing well this morning, then Muani fits that, you know, quick striker, in behind, movement in the box, skillful player. If that's what we're looking for, can score goals, then Muani would be very, very interesting. The interesting thing is what is Ten Hag looking for? Because I think Victor Osimhen gives you a lot more than Muani, in the sense that I think he's better, and I think that he gives you more build-up play, he gives you more presence, and I just think he's an overall different level striker, Osimhen. So I'm not sure why you'd spend anything over 70 million on Muani when you could probably get Osimhen for just over 100. So I don't see 100 million for Muani. I don't see that. That's my bottom line. I just do not see that. I do not see that price tag being realistic. And of course, Eintracht Frankfurt would take it. I think as well that he's not particularly good at link-up play. He's not particularly good at holding the ball up. And I think we're going to have that with our number 9. Say what you like about Anthony Martial, but he does have that capability of holding the play up. So, look, it's an interesting story this morning. It's coming from Germany that Manchester United are prepared to big for Muani of Eintracht Frankfurt. He's a really good striker, and as I said, mobile, dribbler, finisher, but he's not a hold-up player. And for that price, I think you want a more complete striker. So I don't believe that Man United are going to go that big for a player like that. And you know, also Pletty is a German journalist, as we know. He was saying on Sky Sports yesterday that Manchester United really want Victor Osimhen, and that he's ranked higher than Kolo Muani internally at Manchester United. And I think that's a fair update. I don't think there's a better update than that. I think Muani has to be on the list for Manchester United. There's no question about that. But I also feel that your priority has got to be Victor Osimhen. That's the player that Manchester United have got to look for. It won't be very easy. I think we can all agree with that. But it's interesting. Look, we've got to have options at the end of the day. Personally, I see MUANI as 55 to 65 million. Very good overall second striker. He's bad in the air. He'd be a good option with Osimhen as SK. Yeah, look, if we could buy MUANI and Osimhen, or MUANI and Harry Kane or something like that, I think we'd be very happy. And there's a case to be said that we do need two strikers. Ronaldo's not been replaced. Cavani's not been replaced. And Martial probably needs replacing. So you could argue that we need three, but we certainly need two. Didn't you read the rules on the Super League? Games are played midweek. How will it destroy the Premier League? Educate yourself, says Pogba. Mate, I'm not even going to reply to you. You're a fool. Personally, I see MUANI. Yeah, done that one. And Mark, can you wish my team Grimsby Town good luck today in their FA Cup quarterfinals, says Michael T. Well, good luck to Grimsby, but Brighton are going to beat you. I am going to answer Pogba because people will go, he's owned you, Goldbridge. He hasn't owned me. I've answered. The reason I don't want to reply to it is because I've replied to it so many times. The principles of the Super League are to take over football. Their initial plan was to play midweek and destroy the European Cup. You're picking on the Premier League and saying, how does it ruin the Premier League? It completely makes the European Cup extinct. The European Cup, Manchester United sent a team to play in the European Cup in 1958 and it never came back. We spent 10 years trying to, reach our goal of winning that tournament. This football club is intrinsically linked with the European Cup. I love the Premier League, but the European Cup defines what Manchester United's story is. I don't want a Super League with a franchised fucking system where everyone's just making money all around the world taking over from the European Cup. So that's one thing. The second thing is, if you start in midweek with the European Cup and it becomes very successful, it won't be long before they move that to the weekend and the Premier League becomes a reserve league. And also, that will happen anyway. Because if you're playing Real Madrid on Wednesday night and you've got Norwich at home on the Saturday, you're going to pick your reserves against Norwich. So the Premier League will die from a Super League. Simple as that. Anyway, I don't think Grimsby will get beat. I don't think Grimsby are going to do very well today. Just on the striker situation, you might have seen Antonio Conte's outrage and outburst after their draw with Southampton yesterday. Now, actually, we had a couple of good results go our way yesterday. Well, one really. Southampton Southampton getting a draw against Spurs kept us in third place. If Spurs had held on and won, we'd have gone down to fourth. So Spurs dropping points against Southampton like we did last week is very, very good for us. But after the game, the manager of Spurs basically came out and said that this team has got poor ownership and poor mentality throughout the football club, and that's why they don't win trophies. Now, I'm going to do a video on That's Football in a bit, but ultimately, I don't know what Conte's done wrong. We've been craving this at Man United for years, and Solskjaer never said anything about the ownership, and he should have done. A manager that comes out and says that Spurs are bottlers, and then he gets criticised. Check the trophy fucking cabinet, it's rubbish. But what caught my ear was that he also said that these players are bottlers as well. And I think, well, you know what? I agree with you, Darsh. I think Conte's spot on. It's harsh but true, says Duzak as well. Who's the captain of Spurs? Who's the captain of Spurs who's 30 this summer and has never won anything other than a cup of tea in the morning? Like, that's all he's had. The only cup Harry Kane's had in his hand is his mug he has in the morning with tea in it. Now, this is a guy that some of our fans are going, oh, get Harry Kane, get Harry Kane. You've got ex-players, get Harry Kane, get Harry Kane. You got Gary Neville using Conte's outburst as a reason to go, I told you this is not the guy to have at Man United. And I'm like, but you want Harry Kane, you wanted Pochettino. He's actually said this morning that he almost said, thankfully he stopped himself, but he's almost said that Pochettino would have been as good a choice as Ten Hag. Pochettino's an absolute joke. He's got no trophies either. That's why him and Harry Kane love going out with each other, because they can just have a cup of tea. Oh, we've got a couple of cups, Harry, what's this? Pochettino is crap. I don't want him anywhere near Manchester United. If Spurs go back for him, well done. You've just put yourself, you're not winning a trophy for another 5 years. Pochettino Pochettino in the same breath as Eric Ten Hag is like putting beans on toast in the same breath as fine dining. It's ridiculous. But what makes me really concerned about what Conte said is that Harry Kane is the captain of that team. And when Conte's gone mad last night, Lloris is captain and Conte loves Kane, says Robert McCormack. Well, he's not captain at the moment, mate. Lloris is out for the season. Harry Kane is one of the leaders in that team, and he's the current captain of that team as far as I'm aware. When he's talking about that team being full of bottlers, does it not concern United fans that you've got this striker that's going to be 30 years of age, that every ex-player and every British journalist can't stop living up the arse of? Oh, Harry Kane this, Harry Kane that. There's no doubt that Harry Kane's a world-class striker. There's no doubt about it. But does he have that winning mentality? We've seen it for England. Every bloody tournament bottles it. We've seen him for Spurs constantly bottle it. I'm telling you now, I've cleared the game. I've watched the game. You put John Terry in a Spurs shirt. You put Steven Gerrard in a Spurs shirt. You put Roy Keane in a Spurs shirt. You put Ryan Giggs in a Spurs shirt. They wouldn't just become a bottler because everyone else is. Has Harry Kane got the right mentality? When the going gets tough, Harry gets rough. Harry gets rough. I just don't know. I'm not giving a definitive answer. Maybe he comes to Manchester United and Erik ten Hag gives him that winning mentality. Maybe playing in the same team as a Casemiro and a Varane and a Martinez and a Bruno gives him that winning mentality. But I do worry a little bit as to, there's always this assumption that Harry Kane hasn't won trophies because he's unlucky. Maybe he hasn't won trophies because he's actually not a very good leader and doesn't have a winning mentality. I think there's a risk with Harry Kane. I've always said that. I love hearing every content, Mark. Big thank you from South Africa. South Korea. Sorry. Thank you very much for your super chat there. Anyway, that was just a diversion on Harry Kane. What I wanted to talk about was from one leader to another. Our captain, our real captain, Bruno Fernandes. Get ready for this. I want to talk about Martial as well. Bruno Fernandes has played more minutes than any player in Europe's top 5 leagues this season, including goalkeepers. 3,751 minutes. Can we just have a moment for Bruno Fernandes? Because that is bloody amazing. That is unbelievable. You know what? He put Viagra out of business. He just goes and goes and goes and goes. I can't believe it. Duracell. Call him Duracell. Give him a better name. He's played more minutes than anybody in the top 5 European leagues, including goalkeepers. It's unbelievable. Unbelievable. Because goalkeepers, I would have thought somewhere in Spain or in the Prem or in Italy, there would be a goalkeeper that's played every game because you don't need to rotate your goalkeeper. Now, of course, some of that's because Man United will have played more games than everybody else. But I tell you what, if Bruno Fernandes has half an hour in a game where he looks tired and someone says, if I hear someone say again, oh, Bruno wasn't very good today, he was a bit lazy. Just keep that in your head. A bit lazy. Lazy and Bruno can never be used. If he has a bad half or he has a bad game and you think he looks lazy, it's probably because he's bloody knackered. So, look, it's unbelievable. I think for an outfield player, that doesn't get spoken about enough. And you can guarantee if that was a British player, the British press would not shut up about it. Captain of this team, his win percentage as captain of this team is absolutely incredible. His minutes on the pitch is absolutely unbelievable. And can I just say as well, I've said this time and time again, and there's nothing I can do about it if that particular person is scared of having a debate for whatever reason. I know they're a legend of the club, but the bottom line is the United stand is massive. And a Gary Neville and Mark Goldbridge debate, I'm sure everybody would love to watch. And I massively respect Gary Neville as a legend of this football club. I don't agree with a lot of his opinions. But it's just reminded me again, one, how he's very happy to gob off about everything to do with politics and football, but whenever I put a reply into his tweets, he'll never reply, which is up to him. I think that just shows that he loves a debate, but he's scared of a debate with us. But secondly, can we just remember what Gary Neville said 2 weeks ago on national TV? Even Ben Foster, the next day when I did a video, was talking to me about what a disgrace Bruno was, based on what Gary Neville had said to the nation, that Bruno Fernandes was trying to come off the pitch. He's played more minutes than anybody in the top 5 leagues, Gary. Really, as a respected ex-player legend and pundit on national TV, you should have issued an apology by now to say you got that wrong. The fact that you go on about politics and football and Conte and you're always expressing your opinion, but you won't apologise to the captain of your club for getting it wrong, I think a lot of people would appreciate you doing that, because you love this football club. You've got the captain of this football club. We've not been knocked out of any cup competition. He's already won a trophy. He's played more minutes than anybody in Europe. And you said he wants to come off against Liverpool. Now, I get it in the heat of the moment. You're a Man United fan. It's against our biggest rivals. You're going to say things in the heat of the moment. But on reflection, you should apologise for that, because a lot of people still think it's true. And a lot of people at the time thought it was true. And it clearly wasn't true. And if you know anything about Bruno Fernandes, as many of us do, he would never ask to come off in a game of football. Never. But the facts are outstanding. You know, the one player who would never ask to come off a pitch, it evidenced in the fact that he's played more minutes than anybody else in Europe. I really do think that was an unfair thing to do, and it should have been clarified, or Sky should have come out and clarified it. Hi Mark, the thought that you bring up about Harry Kane could have been said about Van Persie when we bought him too. Food for thought. No, I agree, Lil. I agree. MUANI's perfect for this team, says not important. He can play on the break, he can finish, and his assists are insane. I'm sorry to say, but you downright lied when you said his link-up play is not good. No, I didn't link up. I didn't not important. I didn't downright lie. I don't think his link-up play is that good. I don't think with his back to goal he's anywhere near as good as Martial. It's all about opinion. I agree with you on everything that you said about MUANI, but I don't think he's anywhere near the level of Victor Osimhen. So you're talking about him like he's prime Thierry Henry. I don't think he is. I think MUANI's a good striker. I think his ceiling is 60 million. I don't think he's a £100 million striker. I think he could, if Ten Hag wants him, go and get him 100%. But I don't think his link-up play is that good, and I don't think he's anywhere near the level of his Osimhen. Speaking of Southampton, would you take some of their players in the summer, says Leo J. I mean, I like Bella Kotchup. I don't know. I don't know is the honest answer. Their goalkeeper's not bad. Mark, I heard Bruno use a sneak and Gary is scared of you, says Mikael Roach. I don't think Gary's scared of anybody. I just think he likes to have a debate with the people that he feels he can win a debate with. And, you know, we are the biggest Manchester United community. We do have a lot of people in this community who talk a lot of sense. And, you know, I think ignoring it says one of two things. You're scared of it, or, you know, you're worried what would happen if you got into a debate with it. And there's nothing to be scared of. I don't think nobody doesn't think Gary Neville's a legend. Nobody doesn't think he's a very influential pundit. I just think, you know, it's pick and choose, isn't it? Who he wants to get into a debate with. And I think ultimately we're one of the few communities that keep calling it out some of the things that say that are just completely unfair. Anyway, let's move on. On the ownership model, there is. I think Fabrizio spoke about it yesterday. I read it somewhere, but it's a good update anyway. Effectively, whichever way this goes, whether it's Sir Jim and Ineos or it's Althani and Qatar, both those ownership bids are really anxious to get this deal done quickly. Whether they're going to win the bid or not, they want to get it done really quickly because they understand and are eager to get involved in this summer transfer window, because what they don't want to see is what happened with Chelsea, where Todd Boehly didn't actually get his hands on Chelsea until the end of June, by which time all the good deals had basically been done. You know, I think Chelsea would have tried to get Haaland. Whether they would have got him, probably not. But Manchester United are fully aware that if they snooze and basically if this sale drifts to the end of June, there's a lot of business that gets done in April, May and July, May, April and early June. So there is that push from those looking to buy the club that, look, we'll pay this price, but we've got to move quick. And for example, and look, it's a big if Althani was willing to pay £6 billion for Manchester United, he's not going to pay £6 billion if he doesn't get hold of the club until the end of June. There will be, a very blunt, I will give you this money that you want, but you need to get me that club by the end of April so that I can hit this transfer window. So anybody who's saying that Lloris is the captain, you might want to actually watch football. He's been out injured for the season for about 2 months. Zero Blade, Bruno is effective, says Alex, for what this team is, but I think he isn't good enough for what this team needs to be. Odegaard would be better in this team, and so would many other number 10s. Well, just on Bruno Fernandes, by the way, you talk about minutes on the pitch. I think this season he's created 71 chances in the Premier League, Shaw is second with 27. So look, his chance creation, I get what you mean. I think that I almost feel like Bruno Fernandes is a little bit like a David De Gea in many ways, that there are people out there that spend a lot of time analysing his game for negatives and sort of ignore the huge positives. There's no doubt that David De Gea's distribution is not as good as a David Raya. There's no doubt that Bruno Fernandes' link-up play and creativity is not as safe as an Odegaard. But that doesn't mean you need to get rid of them. Because Bruno Fernandes is time on the pitch, his leadership, his tenacity, his type of chance creation, you could argue is better than Odegaard. David De Gea is the best shot stopper in the league, I think, with Alisson. So I said this last night. I mean, I'd had a few beers, I'd been out, but I said last night, people are still over-analysing David De Gea when he's been brilliant this season. And I'm like, it's like some people, I suppose it's a mindset, no matter how many positives they are, they still want to focus in on the negative. Like if someone delivers you a dinner today at lunchtime and it's got absolutely everything on the plate you like, but it's got carrots on it which you don't like, it's like forgetting all the good bits and just moaning about the carrots. And I think that's my issue with the Bruno criticism or the Rashford criticism or the De Gea criticism. I'm fully aware of the carrots on the plate. It makes them more human in my sense. They have got a certain weakness, but the rest of the plate is absolutely fantastic. And when you've got something like that, replacing someone like a Bruno, I'd never look to do it at the moment because he's got so many positives, and you're basically trying to put the cherry on the cake. And if you replace the cake, it might not be as good as the original cake. I agree that there are areas of Bruno's game that you could improve, but he's got so many positives. The risk is that if you remove him and the new one comes in, they might not have as many positives. And it's the same with De Gea and it's the same with Rashford as well. I think we're trying to look. The glaring obvious issues in that Manchester United side for me are we need another centre back that can compete with Varane on the right hand side. We need another midfielder that can play if we lose Casemiro or Eriksen, and we need a striker. They're the three areas I would spend big money on this summer. And everything else is a nice to have, whether it's a number 10, a right back or anywhere else. Hi Mark, do you think we should go for Ramos and Kudus this summer? I would personally take Kudus, says Greenbull. I think Kudus is an interesting player, but I'll always come back to the same thing. If Ten Hag wants that player, let's go and get them. I think Ramos at Benfica, again, is very interesting. I'm a big fan of Ferguson at Brighton. I don't think we'll do that deal because I think it would be an expensive developmental deal. But Manchester United and Ireland are massively linked. We should have an Irish player in a Manchester United squad. And I think he's the best. He's going to be, at this moment in time, he's the best Irish talent out there. Man United should be, breaking walls to get hold of Ferguson. They really should, because we've had good success with people with the surname Ferguson, and he's Irish and he's really talented. So I think he's that's the sort of signing Man United should be making, because we're not, if we do get bought by El Thani, what we can't do is lose what we are. And I think that would be a brilliant first signing for El Thani or Sir Jim, to buy an Irish player who's talented and bring them to Man United. There's levels to that game, and I'd love to see that happen. I don't think it will. He'll probably end up at Arsenal or Liverpool or something. It's the same with Pulisic. We should have bought Pulisic because we've got a huge American support, but the Irish connection with Man United goes back years and years, and I think we should do that. I don't think nationality is what we should be looking for, says Crystal, respectfully. Yeah, you're not listening, are you? I didn't say go and buy him because he's bloody Irish. Oh, let's go and get Richard Dunn out of bloody retirement. I said Man United should have an Irish player in their first team squad, but there's got to be the talent there. And over the last 10 years, there hasn't. There is a talented player there that I believe is going to be exceptional. I'd buy him if he was Dutch. I'd buy him if he was from bloody Australia. I don't care. The fact that he's Irish just makes it even more. He's a talent. I want him because he's a talented player. And I think Man United should be looking at... If you're not... Look, Manchester United is a club that's steeped in history. We have certain connections with certain areas, and we should never turn our back on that. You know, we have got a really good connection with Ireland, and we should therefore, in my opinion, if there's a talented young player who's Irish, who looks like he's going to be a superstar, we should be first in the queue. Some people in the chat are like, I don't care what the nationality is. You're missing the point. I'd buy him if he was Dutch. I think he's a really good young talented player. The fact that he's Irish, I think it, you know, because of the connections we have, we should be looking at that. What else did I want to talk to you about? Talk about that. Oh, City, Manchester City. We play Fulham this afternoon. Looking forward to it. I mean, Man City destroyed Burnley last night, didn't they? Haaland scored again. I think Burnley are shit. Can I just say, Burnley are crap. Like, I know they've won the Championship really, really well, and respect to them, but I think we played Burnley, didn't we? And I was really worried about Burnley when we played them just before. Actually, it was before Christmas, wasn't it? It was just after the World Cup, and I was like, oh God, they've played 2 Championship games. They're top of the Championship. We've had no games for about 5 weeks. We're missing players because of the World Cup, and we still beat them. So, look, Burnley are tearing up the Championship, but I think a lot of Premier League teams would put them to the sword, and obviously Man City did that last night. So, first of all, I'm not massively worried about that. Man City at the moment have caught 2 teams who don't know how to deal with Haaland, so they've been punished. If you don't deal with Haaland, you will get punished. We've seen it all season. We dealt with Haaland at Old Trafford. Spurs dealt with Haaland at their place. He didn't score a goal. So, look, if you don't set up a system to deal with Haaland and try and play your own system, you'll get destroyed, and that's what Man City will do this year. I'm not worried about City. We've got to get past Fulham, and we've got to be the team that stops Man City winning the FA Cup. That's our job. It's as simple as that. Mark, for the tour in the States, in LA, why don't you ask if you can use the Playboy Mansions for your tour? It's open to the public sometimes. It'd be a good place to host your fans, says Zane. And Tim, thank you very much. Welcome to the Members Club. Appreciate that. We should be beating Fulham at home, says Rosh. I agree. And Casemiro played centre-back against them, says Joe. And am I the only one thinking of Mbappe in the summer, says Duncan. You know what? I'll entertain that point for a moment. I've got to be honest. Yesterday, I did think for a moment, is there any chance that Mbappe comes to Manchester United? And the reason I thought about it was when I read the story about Harry Kane going to Real Madrid. And I thought, well, if Harry Kane went to Real Madrid and they're keeping Benzema for another year, why would you go for Mbappe? And then, will Mbappe stay another year at PSG? I mean, look, Mbappe at Manchester United playing as an out-and-out number 9 is what would have to happen. Now, Mbappe likes to drift to the left. You could interchange with Rashford. Could they play together? I mean, my only concern about Mbappe is the concern I have about Neymar, Mbappe and Messi. Too many flair players don't link up. Would Rashford and Mbappe work in the same team? Troy says it could happen. It's Marvin says he's not even a number 9. I know he's not a number 9. I'm saying he'd have to progress to be a number 9 because we'd have Rashford off the left. So they'd have to interchange, or one of them would have to be a number 9. I'm not convinced that Rashford and Mbappe work in the same team. I mean, I think Mbappe's better than Rashford, but I almost feel that Rashford is a little bit like Mbappe in what he brings. You know, Rashford can be quite frustrating at times, but then he can be absolutely world class. Can you have 2 players like that in the same team? I like Mbappe, and I think we'd be over the moon if we got him, and it could make us unstoppable. But on the other hand, it could be a little bit like PSG with too many flair players. I think at the end of the day, there's a certain type of number 9 we want. And it's interesting what Ten Hag said about Anthony Martial, because I think he's absolutely spot on. And what he said is this. He said that with Anthony Martial, every time he's available, he really gives a good contribution to the team and the performance, and the level of the team are upgrading the moment he's in the team. We're just working with him to get fit and available. He loves Martial and what he brings to the team. And if you look at what Martial brings to the team, welcome to the Members Club, Tom, who's been a member for 8 months actually. Martial brings link-up play. He runs the channel. You know, he's very unselfish, Martial. And I think the trouble is we can't keep Martial fit, but we need a striker like Martial, somebody who's good in and around the box, fairly mobile, good link-up play, that brings other people into the game. That's the sort of striker we need. But, you know, we will be buying a striker in the summer. It's just going to be what we do. Anyway, Rashi Mbappe is like ultimate Ollie squad. Imagine the break we could have, says SK. Yeah. We need some creativity as well. You've got, there's so many differentials. You've got Ahmad coming back. You've got Palestri and Garnacho coming through. You've got Sancho, Anthony there already. Martial's injury problems. That whole front three is a real jigsaw for Ten Hag to solve over the summer, because he's got too many. He's got to bring some in, and he's got too many there already. So he's got to make some decisions on what he's going to do, which I think is going to be really interesting. But ultimately, he's got to build the jigsaw he wants, not what we want. We are back at 3:30 today, live for the Manchester United FA Cup quarter-final against Fulham. I will join. You will hopefully join me. I will join you. Make sure you smash a like on the video and subscribe. I'm going to put a video up on Conte on That's Football in about 20 minutes as well, so check out for that. And we'll have Adam's road trip going up at about 1 as well. So I'll speak to you all a little bit later. Big game today. We need to win.